Welcome to the Infill Podcast, where we interview the most interesting members of the 3D printing and maker communities, live and with audience participation. And now, here is your host, Jonathan Levy.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome. I'm really excited about today's episode. Today, we are joined by Radek, but you guys know him as RH3D. He is a Czech engineer, maker, and remixer, I would call him, of 3D printers. Best known for the E3NG project, but he has many other projects that I'm excited to learn more about. Let's welcome him on. Radek, welcome, my friend. How are you?
Hi, hello everyone, and thanks for having me here.
It is my pleasure, and I owe you a sincere apology because I ended up canceling on you twice due to various... I think one time my kid was in the hospital, and another time there's been like a series of circumstances that have made this almost not happen, but I really appreciate you putting up with me.
That's totally fine. I appreciate having me for the third time or second time.
Yeah. So tell the audience, I did a really bad job with the bios, as I like to do, a little bit about yourself, but also your projects. How did you get into 3D printing? What do you do? And I will bring up the audio levels for folks who are complaining in the chat.
Okay, so my business or my job is I'm an architect, which I studied, but the journey was always kind of not just like straightforward being an architect, but I started when I was young. I started, or I grew up in a family of engineers, and it was kind of my daily or hobby from being since being a small kid, because I had access to like quite decent workshop, and it all kind of just kind of guided me through the things I did in my life. And then I went to study architecture, but after the studies I worked as an architect for like a year, and then I started doing a woodworking business. And when I was doing that woodworking business, I actually went a little bit into 3D printing, because it was kind of a hobby that I was always interested in, and I used it for doing some things related to 3D printing, like they're just fixtures and custom stuff, and that's where I started working on these projects that you people probably know, E3NG and now the Virtu. That's not as much known yet.
So what year are we talking about that you got into 3D printing? Because I think you were pretty early to the game.
Not really early. It was maybe 3 years ago I started, or 3
wow.
or 4 years ago.
That's not that much.
It was really, yeah, it was not. I always knew about 3D printing, but not really that into detail. And when I was doing the woodworking, I kind of found the reasons to finally buy a printer, and yeah, that's when it started.
So tell me first about the E3NG. Was the idea kind of, hey, we've got millions of enders, literally millions of enders out there, how can we give them new life? Or was it kind of like, let me see what the ultimate machine is, and by the way, an ender is a really cheap building material, almost as cheap as the cost of parts?
It was definitely not like that in the beginning. It was just because I didn't want to put a lot of money into it. I didn't know if I'll be really using the 3D printer, so I just bought what was cheap and what I could find easily. And then it's an Ender 3, so we just start modifying it, and I was kind of into generally like mechanics and technologies, and so I kept upgrading it. Then I saw some other projects. I think it started with the Rolohans Rook 180, I think. So that was the first project I wanted actually to build. But then when I went deeper into the design, I started changing some things, and then I realized that it's actually not that hard to like in general, the 3D printer is not like very complicated machine, the basics of it. And so I started slowly building my own or making the project. But it was still just a project for me, and I wanted to make it cheap to reuse as many parts. And
Right.
then I saw I sometimes I posted on Instagram or YouTube, and I saw people were interested. So that's how it grew into something like this, like it's now.
Okay, so it really was like, hey, an Ender 3 is a really cheap source of parts. I think today, now, yourself and the Duender and a lot of these projects have taken the air of like, how do we save these printers from landfills? But it's cool to know that, hey, like it really started from how do I save money? And I wonder, being from Czech Republic, if that had any influence on you. I mean, is it part of the common kind of psyche in Czech, knowing that, hey, like one of the most storied brands is from Czech, and so you have this kind of like national enthusiasm, or is it just complete coincidence?
I think it's Czech is there's quite a lot of like mechanical, what is it called, mechanical engineers, or like this kind of industry, because you're close to Germany and automotive and things like that. And it's, yeah, I think it's mostly because of that. So I was kind of, and yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, that makes
And
sense. Someone once told me that one of the things in Czech is because of the automotive industry, that there's so many good machine shops and machinists, and that's part of why there's so many good engineering schools, and that's part of why it's like the downhill effect. Like I once took a class at UC Berkeley about like how did Northern California become this epicenter, and it started from mining of all things. So the Hearst family was mining minerals out of the ground. They needed more engineers to help them, so they started funding all these little universities, and then those universities went on to create graduates. And it sounds like to me that in Czech you have a similar thing, right? Like involvement in World War II, and then moving those factories into machine shops after the war, and then those machinists went out and created new tools and 3D printers, and obviously a lot of universities to create those engineers, as you said.
yeah, that's true. And I also think that Czech Republic is one of the countries where there's a lot of atheist people, so they have
Right.
like a lot of focus on other things. So
Yeah, that
maybe
makes
they
sense.
kind of dedicate their life to something like that more than other
Huh.
things.
That makes sense. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Given in Europe there was a period of like lowered scientific innovation. I wonder, by the way, someone said in the chat, which I thought was really cool, that his Ender 3NG is his most solid 3D printer. So that actually got me thinking, for those who don't know and are hopefully driving and looking at the road, tell us about the E3NG. I covered it, I think, in one of my videos, so I'm pretty familiar.
Mhm.
But
Yes,
what
you
is
did.
it? What are the specs? How does it work? How does it print as compared to, a Voron or a machine that people already know about?
Okay, so it's as I said, it was actually one of the main ideas was to reuse as many parts from the old Ender. So it uses like maybe up to 70% of those parts. And at first it was meant to be a cheap conversion, but then you kind of realize that you don't want to cheap out on some of the
Hmm.
parts. So building your own printer and buying these parts is not sometimes as cheap as you might think at first.
Right.
And it's uh yeah, I got lost right now. So
It
yeah, it's
started as
basically
cheap parts.
the
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the idea of the conversion is to reuse these parts and make something that's just brings new life to the hardware and make something uh, like kind of modern. That's why the name NG is like next generation, because you build a CoreXY 3D printer with linear rods and no V wheels, so it's much more reliable, faster, and of course it's designed to be enclosed. So in the end, it also takes less space on your desk than the old Ender, which is Bedslinger. And
And
yeah, so
how
and it
much?
was
How many parts do you have to add? I mean, what parts are not reused?
uh, you reuse the almost entire frame except one extrusion,
Wow.
but the Virtu that uses all of the parts, all of the frame parts, and then you use the bed electronics, like you can use mostly, except for some screws, the V wheels, you use almost everything. But also, you probably don't want to use the stock hot end, so there are things like that you want to
Right.
upgrade maybe. Also, the motherboard, which is usable, some people use it, but you may we may like to upgrade.
It's really interesting. It's almost like a parallel development track with, you've got the Voron crew and you got the Vez 3D crew, and then you've got uh, Annex Engineering crew, right? And then this is a totally different vein, right? And direction. I wonder if you've seen
Yeah.
Sergey Urbis does some really interesting stuff with Enders, and he just
Hmm.
did his own custom, not tool changer, hot end changer, which is
Yeah,
blowing my
I
mind.
saw that.
Totally
Yeah,
wild.
I think that's the right direction. And
I think
I
so.
actually was thinking about something like that too, but you know the time is limited.
I was gonna ask, so how
And
does this work for
yeah,
you? You're doing this just as a part-time hobby, right?
uh, yes, part time. Well, maybe part time job, part time hobby. That's. I currently work 3 days a week as an architect, and 2 days are left for this development.
Okay.
And because of family life and things like that, I
Sure.
don't have much time in the evenings anymore. So it's
Trust me, I
mostly
get you.
2 days.
I can relate.
Yeah.
And it's a community supported project, I imagine, right? I'm pretty sure I saw that it's open
Yes.
source and it's, community supported based on
Mhm.
donations and things like that.
Exactly. Yes. And but yeah, I was also donated some parts from companies like Big Tree Tech and these. But
Cool.
yeah, financially it's by community driven.
Very cool. Very, very cool that you're able to spend 2 days a week on that. We did get a question, and thank you to Mr. Fluffaluffagus for the super chat. He wants to know if you guys can get a Benchy leaderboard in the server, and then he has another question, but well, I guess that's not a question. Either do it or don't do it. And then, how's work going on the desktop CNC? It sounds like a super fun home project and garage tool.
Mm. All right. I think we could do a benchy board on the server.
Rock on.
And things about the desktop CNC are not progressing really because I'm
Mm,
focusing my time on the Virtu, and it's one of the things that I want to do for myself. But so I hope it's coming. I have the design like roughly laid down in the CAD program, but it's yeah, it's not on the priority right now. So
sure. So, okay, so tell us about Virtu. Uh, what is it?
yeah, so
And will
yeah.
people be able to upgrade from the E3NG to that project?
Yeah, so it's actually the idea, like this base idea, is very similar to the E3NG, just to reuse as many parts as possible. But it actually started like maybe even like half year and a half ago when I was doing the NG. So I during the development I saw some of the issues or things that could be improved, but I wanted to keep the design because people were already building this the NG, so I didn't want to change it completely,
Mm,
and so I left this for the later time. And now it's basically a completely new project. It uses it's or yeah, it's completely new printer, still based on the Ender 3, and its focus is actually to be like a performance printer, I would
okay.
say. It's quite a lot more optimized, and it's just the things I learned on the designing the E3NG. So I use them on this one, and it's really I spent quite a lot of time optimizing the things like the frame and toolhead, and it's not gonna be
Interesting.
compatible with the E3NG because
Okay.
it's using linear rails while the NG uses linear rods.
Hmm.
And but I didn't want to really stick to the decisions made on the NG, and I wanted to make this like completely new, just without too many restrictions by some design choices from the earlier.
Now, when you say high performance machine, the E3NG is no slouch either, right? I mean, some people were saying in the chat about like how fast their E3NG is. I mean, how much faster can you go than some of these high performance E3NGs?
With the Virtu, or yeah, uh, I have actually just one right now, and I have recommended accelerations about around 40K,
Wow.
and more people have that on the testing group. But it's because it's as it is optimized, it's also the frame is quite a bit smaller, so you have the belts are shorter and the frame is more rigid, because with other printers that you build from the ground up, you usually use like 20 extrusions, but this one uses 20-40 extrusions from the ender, so the frame is all quite rigid.
Wow.
And it also has from the start, I designed it to have the option to install all-wheel drive, so 4 motors for the XY, or 2 motors if you can choose. So that makes the belt, the effective short, or the length of the belt even smaller, which leads to higher accelerations.
I'm really interested in, like, you said you learned a lot through the process of the E3NG, and I'm wondering, for those out there who are interested in dabbling and making their own printers, what are some of the big lessons you learned? And by the way, how many people have built the E3NG? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. We have currently like 220 serial numbers, but there are a lot more people, and I really don't know. Even because as there are the kits available, I know there were much more sold than 200, and
Yeah.
I know there are some people on Discord that have no serial number, but they have a couple of NGs at home, and yeah, I really don't know.
So like a
There are
few
like
thousand, probably.
It's really hard to tell. There's like around 5,000 people on the Discord server, so might be a few thousand, but
Sounds like it might be more
who
than a few
knows?
thousand if some of them are building two of them. So what are some of the learnings from thousands of machines built, and I imagine many thousands of hours of your time and also other people's time since it's open source? Like, what are some of the things that you learned about 3D printers that you didn't know at the beginning?
Well, there was a lot, but I don't know if it's easy to say. But in general, I think it's very good to listen to the people. And always when I work, for example, when I work on the design, at first there was the beta NG, and then after that, as there were more people on the Discord, I was always, when I had some things that I need to decide, or just yeah I had to decide. I always put up a what's it called, like, mm, the Google Forms. I set up a Google form and asked people about these things, what they think about it. I always listen to the feedback, and I think this is something that really, at least if you are designing it for the people, not just for yourself. So it helps with the design quite a lot. And other than that, it's just a lot of testing and setting up things, and yeah.
Very cool. And it sounds like a lot of people just from the chat. I don't know if you have the chat open on your side, but a lot of people that are on the Discord are very excited about Virtu. Uh, so
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's been teased for quite a long time, so they are waiting.
To me, it's just really cool and exciting to see people still excited about open source printers and DIY projects. I mean, like, it's been beaten to death. Everyone talking about like, oh, it doesn't make sense in the era of Bamboo. Now I think it's even more so, right, with like the U1 and some other really cool printers that are coming out right now. So it's really exciting that like people are continuing to tinker, and it makes me really happy to see people in the chat like so avidly excited about an open source printer, like we haven't seen it in a long time. So linear rails instead of linear rods. What else is new in Virtu? It seems like that's all anyone in the chat can think about.
Yeah, so it's got the triple Z bed. The NG has it has one motor for the bed, so it's this one has the Z tilt option, and well, what else? It's the design is also. I learned one thing on designing the NG, that doing too many options is really not a good thing, because
Right.
then when I was doing the build manual, it was just a nightmare to take everything into account, and to also with the all the available options to make everything compatible. So with the Virtu, I really wanted to focus on optimizing the design for just one or two options. And yeah, so there will be like for the toolhead, there is like, yeah, there are just like few main options. And but also, as I've seen on the NG or at the community, there's a lot of people who they make mods and
Right.
remixes. So a lot of is coming later
I
from
was
the
gonna say
community,
it's
definitely.
almost like, I don't want to make comparisons to the Voron team, and because that's such a big project now and there's so many people involved, but it's almost like
Yeah,
you really only need to publish one hot end variant or two hot end variants, and then again, beauty of open source, right? I'm not telling anyone here anything they don't already know, but the community will do it if you allow it, right? And sometimes if you don't allow it,
right.
like they'll make the different tool heads and the different cooling options and the AUX fans, and that's really cool. It lowers the burden of creation on your end.
Yeah,
I'd love if we
exactly.
could talk a little bit about, before we get into the sponsor of this episode, I'd love if we could get into your recommendations, right? Like you've probably seen in your community 5,000 people strong, like many people use many different boards, many different hot ends, many different types of linear rails. Like what are your best, okay, if you want to have no hassles doing one of my builds, use this part, this part, this part, this part, and this part as far as the non-ender parts of the build.
Mhm. Well, I think it's also dependent on a lot on the budget what the people have, because there
Sure.
are some who want to build it as cheap as possible, and some that just throw all the money they have and build a crazy machine from an old ender. And
Right.
but I would say maybe start with with the minimal things that you really need, and you can always upgrade later, because it's quite easy. At least on the NG, it's quite easy to upgrade some of the things. And for example, with the motherboard, you don't really need anything extra. There are just like, I mean, I think there are four motors, so you can use almost any board. And just with the hot end and the extruder, those are things that I think it's really up to the budget and the flow you want to achieve. So
No
I don't think
recommendations
that
like, okay, low budget, I recommend this brand and model. High budget, I recommend this brand. I understand if you want to remain objective.
probably I would like to, but for I know a lot of people use, for example, bamboo lab hot ends, but
Really? Huh.
because they're kind of, at least the with the bamboo lab X1C, the version, the not the current generation, but the
Yeah.
previous ones, because they were pretty cheap and just simple. Uh,
Yeah.
let's compared to, I don't know, maybe like Fetus Rapido or like these hot ends,
Those can get
they're
expensive.
much
Yeah.
cheaper. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that Sergey as well, Urbis, is also using the bamboo hot ends for the same reason, right? Like if you're going to build a tool changer and you want four, five, six of them, uh,
Hmm.
it gets really
Yeah,
expensive if you're going to do that with Rapidos. That can be more expensive than most off the shelf printers just in the hot ends. Okay, so
exactly.
that's fair. Boards, which ones have you had a good experience with, if you want to share?
Yeah, I used just couple of them. I used mostly for, well, maybe only from Big Tree Tech. So
Yep.
it was like the SKR V2, then the SKR 3 Easy, and now I'm using mostly Octopus
Okay.
Pro, or Octopus Max Easy is on the Virtu. And I like these because I gradually want to add things, maybe some fans, and these boards have just everything you need. So many
Totally. They're so
headers,
overkill
and
for most
yeah,
projects. I currently have a little issue where we're trying to build the 7 tool changer on the Soval,
Mhm.
and it's amazing how underkill, I mean, because, they're trying to cut costs, but how underkill that is for a 7 tool changer. So we might end up upgrading the Hotend, which does lead me to, I should mention that this episode is brought to you guys by Soval, who, as I mentioned, makes really affordable, high quality printers that are high performance at a low price. I'm currently modifying an SVO8 Max, which is going to be in an upcoming video, and I'm modifying an SVO8. And what's cool is all of Soval's machines are fully open source, software, hardware, slicer, everything, even CAD files online. So if you want to do your own project, like the E3NG, probably with less hours put into it, and you want a printer that's a great base, check out Soval's machines because they're all open source. You can start with the CAD files and build whatever your little heart desires. So, link in the description. Thanks to Soval for sponsoring the episode. Let's see. Let's see what the chat has to say. So what excites you right now, Radek, in 3D printing? Like, are you excited about tool changers, about exploring different materials, about high-speed printing? Like, what do you want to spend more time on in the coming year?
Probably tool changers. And I was actually thinking about designing a tool changer, or I started somewhat, but didn't really have time to do that, to finish it. And it's just, base sketches or something like that.
Right.
And because I think I was, when it started with, Prusa XL,
Mm-hmm.
I was always just curious why people don't build. Or there was also then there were what is it called, people on Boron building the Steel Changers,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think, is that the name.
That's
So I
the
was
one.
always curious why people always change the entire tool head, where we have motor, all the fans and everything. So I wanted to build a hot end changer, just they are coming out right now.
I
And I
think it's
think
going to be
that's
really
really
exciting.
something that, yeah, I think that's really something to that might be a good step forward in 3D printing.
Totally. And I actually asked the folks at Bondtech, albeit not the big boss, not the owner of the company, but some of the higher ups. And I told them about some of these projects that were coming up, and they're like, we have a patent on one very specific thing. And also for community and personal use, we're not going to enforce the patent in that way. It's literally only for commercial.
Mhm.
So as long as you don't even go so far as like sell the files, build something that's similar. But I do think that Irbis's approach is actually very different. Bondtech has this crazy like approach angle gear
Yeah.
thing that they're doing that literally no one seems to understand how it works. They've explained it to me and I still don't understand how it works. Uh, his is a totally different ball game. I don't know how it does it, but um, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that's really exciting. Do we know when Virtu is going to come out so you can get to these next projects?
We don't.
We
I don't,
don't.
at least. But it's actually, I have the model basically finished. I'm just finishing some small, tiny details, and now it's just preparing things for the website and things like that. So I hope it's not gonna take too long,
Fair
because it's
enough.
already taken quite a bit.
Fair enough. Oh no, it's Mike wants to know what it feels like to be able to order a kit version of something that you designed.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's great that you see all the, yeah, it's really great. I think it's like a little bit or a small step forward when you design this for the people. You see they like it, they build it, and then you communicate with these companies who would like to offer kits, and to just test the kit, and it's great feeling. And at
I can
least when the
imagine.
people are happy with it.
I can imagine, and I want to give a shout. I don't know who makes the kit for the E3NG, but I want to give a shout out to the companies that are like LDO Motors, for example, that are forging a path forward to very specifically support creators like this. I happen to know some products that LDO is coming out with down the line, and they're just rinse and repeating this model, right? Find cool community projects, work with a designer, create kits to make it affordable, and reduce customer service for the designer, pay the designer a commission. And they're just going to rinse and repeat that model. And I think it's super important, right, to have these companies supporting the projects, because open source is great, but open source doesn't mean other people profiting off the fruits of your labor for free.
And it's
Or
also
shouldn't.
profiting. Yeah, and it's also profiting the users quite a lot because it's cheaper and simpler. You don't have to source all the parts by yourself. So it's nice to have just one kit available that comes to your home, and you
Totally.
take the build manual and build it.
Totally. It really lowers the barrier to entry. Who makes the kits, by the way, for the E3NG? We'll give them a shout out.
There's Fabreeko, Fansor, and FYSECT.
Awesome.
FYSECT.
FYSECT. I asked them how you pronounce it. They're like, there's no right or wrong way. I was like, fair enough.
As long as people understand you, it's
As
okay.
long as people order, then it's fine. Say it however you want. That's really, really cool. So what else? Let's check the chat here. The kits are really the way to go. I opted to source myself over time rather than trying to buy everything at once. That's my one regret in my E3NG build. Oh, it's almost bedtime over here. And then
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Fluffaluffagus
think
says,
sorry for taking the late time.
no, it's fine.
It's
Fine, man.
similar here too.
It's fine. So folks want to know also about MMUs for E3NG. Some people said Pico MMU is really, really popular, but E3NG runs on Clipper, right? So any of these MMUs, BoxTurtle should work, Big Tree Tech Vivid should work. Have you
Exactly. And
experimented with any of that?
I have actually my own MMU, but it's only for, because it's not it's only for Patreons currently, but I made it like maybe a year ago and didn't have really time to tune all the details and finish it to the way I wanted. But I didn't try any of the other MMUs, but I know people in the community use basically anything. They use quite a lot the Pico MMU because it's small, quite cheap, and the Turtle box is also quite popular there.
Yeah, I like my BoxTurtle.
Yeah.
It's the best one I've
Yeah.
used of all the ones that I've used. MMX, Nadir says, should work as well. Tell us about your MMU, because I didn't know that you had one. What's that like?
Well, that's again one of the cheaper approaches because as I was converting these enders, and I on some of them I bought new motors, so I was thinking that I could just when I have 3 slots for the stepper motors on my board, and I have 3 stepper drivers, so I can just plug it in and make kind of a simple MMU, basically like what was it, MMU, maybe the first version from Prusa, when you have
Right.
just the feeder, then the Y splitter, and it's coming to the toolhead.
Yeah.
And I currently have on my NG probably seven extra motors to feed them. So I'm using Octopus and with the expansion board from Big Two Tech. So it's kind of quite a lot of electronics in the back.
So 7 different motors, and that's for 7 different filaments?
Yes, exactly.
And it's all reliable? This is amazing to me.
Yes, it's working great. It's because it's really very simple. You just have the feeder, then it feeds the filament through the Y splitter, and it goes to the tool head, and where you have the cutter, and that's basically everything. You just cut it off and pull it back and feed the new color.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're willing, that's the success of the BoxTurtle, right? If you're willing to put a dedicated stepper motor to each one of the filaments, it makes everything so much more effective. Where you get into trouble with reliability, like the ERCF or other ones, is you try and use smaller motors, or you try and use a cam or a selector. It gets really hard to get things working well.
Exactly, and it's also quite a lot faster when you have one stepper per the filament. When I was testing it, I think I had the filament changes in like maybe 12 to 13 seconds. So it was pretty fast.
That's pretty good. I guess the splitter is probably pretty close to the Hotend.
Yes, it's on the on the edge of the printer. It's then you have on the enclosure panel, on one of the enclosure panels. So it feeds probably around 500 millimeters back. But when you have the one motor, so directly for the filament, it can go pretty fast.
Fair enough. What do you design in? I wanted to ask. Are you a Fusion guy?
I tried various programs, and I'm using sometimes Fusion and sometimes Onshape. But
Okay.
I also wanted to switch to FreeCAD, but it's still not as
It's still not
usable
there.
as I would like. Still not
Sorry, I'm
there.
yawning on you. It's been a long day, and we just adopted a puppy, so I'm getting woken up like 5 times every night for pee breaks.
What time is it at your side?
Only 8:30,
Oh,
but I'm like, as you can
oh,
see by my
yeah.
red eyes, I'm like pretty ready to go to sleep for my 5 wake ups every single night to run out into the backyard and take the dog out. So that's been really fun.
Yeah. So you're getting to the times when you have kids small and they waking up.
I'm already past all that, thank God.
Yeah,
My
but
kids
you're
are already
getting back
sleeping
to
through.
that.
Oh, getting back to it? Yeah. Reliving it for sure. So I wonder, how can people get in touch and follow you and learn more about all these various different projects? And most importantly, how can they support the project?
Probably everything that's needed will they find on the website. That's RH3D.xyz, and it's the website for about the projects. But currently there's only the E3NG, and there's like a teaser for the Virtu at E3 Virtu, but there's also links for everything else, like the Discord server where there are a lot of people and the community is great there. And if they want to support, there are also links on the website. So just that.
Amazing. And the best place to support is Patreon, or is there another good way? Because I know Patreon takes high percentage, I think.
Yeah, they do, but I think it doesn't matter what suits the best to people, because I'll always have to convert it anyways to my currency. So there's
Right.
always some fee, and
At the end of the day, it all ends up, yeah, I get
yeah.
you. Awesome. Well, Radek, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. I'm really glad that we finally made it work, and it's amazing to see what like absolutely rabid community you have of just super enthusiastic people. So thanks for coming on the show, and let me know if there's any way in the future that I can support you, or you have cool stuff coming out that I can cover on the channel.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me or for having me.
My absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hopping on. I will take us out, Radek, and we can debrief after. Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infill Podcast. For show notes or links to anything mentioned in today's episode, visit thenextlayer.com. If you enjoyed the episode, please don't forget to leave us a review wherever you're listening, or click the like button to let us know. And consider subscribing to The Next Layer on YouTube so you can tune in live and participate in the next conversation. We'll see you on The Next Layer.